Jake Sullivan walked through the long hallway leading to the council chambers. His boots made soft sounds on the shiny floor. The walls were made of some kind of crystal that glowed with soft blue light. He had walked this same path many times before, but today felt different. Today might be the last time not behind him walked Lisa Carter and Kevin Walsh. Lisa was a strong woman who had fought in many space battles. Kevin was a smart man who studied alien life forms. Both of them looked worried. They knew this meeting would not go well. The three humans reached the big doors of the council chambers. The doors were huge, maybe 50 feet tall, and covered with strange symbols from different alien worlds. Guards from various species stood on both sides. They looked at the humans with cold eyes. Jake pressed his hand against the door scanner. A voice spoke in the common galactic language. Human delegation recognized. You may enter. The doors opened slowly. Inside was a massive room shaped like a bowl. Seats for different alien species were arranged in circles going up toward the ceiling. Each seat was designed for a different type of body. Some were for creatures with 4 arms, others for beings made of living crystal, and some for underwater. Species in special water tanks. Jake and his team walked to the center of the room. Their footsteps echoed in the quiet space. Hundreds of alien eyes watched them. Most of those eyes showed anger or disgust. At the highest seat sat Kethvar, the prime minister of the Zephyrian people. He had 4 arms, purple skin, and 3 eyes. His voice was deep and commanding when he spoke. The human delegation will hear the decision of the Galactic Council, Kethva said. His words were translated into human language by small devices. Everyone wore. Jake stood straight and looked up at the alien leader. We are ready to hear your decision. Kethvar stood up from his seat. All 4 of his arms moved as he spoke. For over 100 years, humans have been part of this council. During this time, your species has caused nothing but trouble. Lisa stepped forward. Her face was red with anger. Trouble? We saved your colonies from the Void Plague. We protected your trade ships from pirates. We shared our medical knowledge with everyone. A creature made of living crystal spoke next. Its voice sounded like music, but the words were harsh. You shared nothing. You forced your ways on us. You built military bases in our space without asking. You acted like you owned the galaxy. Kevin raised his hand to speak. We built those bases to protect you. When the Dark Swarm attacked the outer worlds, our bases were the only thing that stopped them. We lost thousands of our people saving yours. An alien that looked like a giant fish in a water tank made bubbling sounds. The translator changed these sounds into words. We never asked for your protection. You decided to help us without asking. What we wanted. That is not the way civilized species behave. Jake felt his heart sink. These aliens really believed what they were saying. They really thought humans were the problem. Kethva raised all 4 arms to get everyone's attention. The council has made its decision. Humans are too violent, too quick to fight, and too sure they know what is best for everyone. You do not understand how to live in peace with other species. The crystal being spoke again. Your species grows too fast. You build too many ships. You explore too much space. You make other species nervous with your endless expansion. Lisa could not stay quiet anymore. We explore because we want to learn. We build ships because we want to trade and make friends. Everything we do to help make the galaxy a better place. But you do it your way, said another alien that looked like a giant spider. You never ask what we want. You just do what you think is right. Kevin tried one more time to make them understand. When the plague hit your world 5 years ago, we worked day and night to find a cure. We gave it to you for free. We asked for nothing in return. How is that wrong? The fish alien made more bubbling sounds. You could have asked us to help find the cure. Instead, you did it alone, and then gave it to us like we were children who could not take care of ourselves. Jake realized the truth. These aliens were not angry because humans did bad things. They were angry because humans did good things without being asked. They felt embarrassed that they needed human help so often. Keffer spoke the final words. The Galactic Council votes to remove humans from membership. You have 30 days to close all your bases, remove all your people from non-human space, and return to your own star systems. Any human found outside of human space after 30 days will be arrested. The room was quiet. Jake looked around at all the alien faces staring down at him. Some looked happy, others looked worried, but none of them looked sorry. Jake took a deep breath. Very well. If that is your decision, we will respect it. But I want you to remember this day. Remember that humans offered friendship, and you chose fear. Remember that we offered help, and you chose pride. He turned to leave, then stopped and looked back. We will go back to our own space. We will close our bases and bring our people home. But when you realize what you have lost, do not expect us to come running back. Lisa and Kevin followed Jake as he walked toward the big doors. The alien delegates watched them leave in silence. Outside the chambers, Lisa grabbed Jake's arm. We cannot just give up. These people need us whether they admit it or not. Jake looked sad but determined. They have made their choice. Now we will make ours. Send the message to all human colonies and bases. Operation Homecoming begins immediately. Within hours, messages were flying to every corner of the galaxy. Human ships began loading supplies and people. Military bases that had protected alien worlds for decades started shutting down. Scientists working on alien planets packed up their research. Doctors treating alien diseases said goodbye to their patients. The great human exodus had begun. In 30 days, humans would be gone from galactic space. The aliens thought they were solving a problem. They had no idea they were creating a disaster that would nearly destroy the galaxy. Jake stood on the observation deck of his ship and watched alien worlds grow smaller as they flew away. He wondered if the galaxy would survive without human help. He hoped it would, but he had serious doubts. 6 months had passed since the last human ship left alien space. Ryan Brooks sat in the captain's chair of his merchant vessel called Starwind. He was patrolling the edge of human territory, making sure no alien ships tried to enter without permission. Ryan was a calm man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been a trader for 20 years, visiting many alien worlds. Now he could only visit human colonies. It felt strange and lonely. His ship was small but fast. The crew was just 5 people. Amy Foster ran the engines and fixed anything that broke. She was young, but very smart with machines. Danny Clark handled navigation and communications. He could speak several alien languages, though he had no use for them now. The other 2 crew members were Ben Parker and Carol White. Ben took care of security and weapons. Carol managed the cargo and supplies. They were all good people who missed the old days when they could trade with aliens. Ryan stared out at the stars through the main window. Space looked the same as always, but everything felt different. Before the Exodus, this area was busy with ships from many worlds. Trade vessels, passenger ships, and patrol boats moved back and forth constantly. Now it was empty and quiet. Danny looked up from his control panel. Captain, I am picking up a signal. It is very weak and far away. Ryan turned his chair toward Danny. What kind of signal? Is it one of our ships? Danny frowned and adjusted his equipment. No, sir. It sounds like a distress call. The language is Vorthan. Amy stopped working on her engine repairs. Vorthans? What are they doing out here? Their space is on the other side of the galaxy. Ryan felt confused. The Vorthons were peaceful traders who sold beautiful artwork and rare metals. They never traveled this far from their home worlds. Can you tell what kind of ship it is? Danny worked with his controls for several minutes. The signal was very weak and full of static. It appears to be a colony ship, sir. A big one. Maybe 3,000 people on board. Carol walked over to the communication station. 3,000? That is a whole city worth of people. What are they doing way out here? Ryan stood up and walked to the main display screen. Put the signal on speakers. Let me hear what they are saying. The bridge filled with crackling static, and then a voice speaking in the Vorthon language. Danny translated as the alien spoke. This is colony ship New Dawn. We have major reactor problems. Our main power is failing. Life support will stop working in 8 hours. We have 3,000 colonists on board, including many children. Please, anyone who receives this message, we need help. The bridge became very quiet. Everyone looked at Ryan. They all knew what this meant. The Vorthons were going to die unless someone helped them. Amy broke the silence. Captain, I know Vorthon reactor systems. I worked on them before the Exodus. I can fix their problem in maybe 20 minutes. Ben shook his head. We are not supposed to help aliens anymore. The new laws are very clear. Any human who helps aliens can be arrested. Carol looked angry. Are we going to let 3,000 people die because of some stupid law? Ryan felt torn between duty and conscience. The human government had made strict rules after leaving the Galactic Council. No contact with aliens, no trade, no help. Humans were supposed to stay in their own space and let the aliens solve their own problems. But watching innocent people die was not something Ryan could do. He had children of his own. He could not imagine letting alien children die when he had the power to save them. Danny, how far away are they? Ryan asked. About 2 hours at full speed, sir. Ryan made his decision, set course for their location. Full speed. Ben looked worried. Captain, if the authorities find out, we could all go to prison. Ryan sat back down in his chair. Then we make sure they do not find out. No official logs of this trip. We never saw anything. We never helped anyone. Do you all understand? The crew nodded. They all agreed that saving lives was more important than following rules. 2 hours later, the Starwind found the Vorthon colony ship. It was huge, maybe 10 times bigger than Ryan's vessel. But it was clearly in trouble. The lights were dim, and it was not moving properly. Amy put on her spacesuit and took a shuttle over to the alien ship. The Vorthons were very grateful to see her. They had been sending distress calls for days with no answer. The Vorthon ship's chief engineer was named Veltar. He had blue skin and 6 arms. He was very worried about his people. Amy looked at their reactor and quickly found the problem. Your plasma flow regulator is broken, she told Veltar through a translator. It is a simple fix if you have the right parts. Veltar shook his head sadly. We have been trying to fix it for days. We do not have the right knowledge. Amy smiled. Lucky for you, this is basic human engineering. We will have you running perfectly in no time. While Amy worked on the reactor, Veltar told her about conditions in the galaxy since humans left. His words were very troubling. Things are falling apart out there, he said. The void plague has come back. Without human doctors, we cannot stop it. Trade routes are dangerous because there are no human patrol ships to protect them. Many worlds are running out of food and medicine. Amy stopped working for a moment. What about the Galactic Council? Are they not helping? Veltar made a sound. That was like bitter laughter. The Council says everything is fine. They tell us to be patient and solve our own problems. But we do not know how. We depended on humans for so many things. Amy finished her repairs, and the reactor came back to life. The lights on the ship became bright again, and the engines started working properly. The 3,000 Vorthans were saved. Before leaving, Beltar gave Amy a small gift. It was a beautiful crystal that glowed with soft light. Please take this as thanks. I know humans are not supposed to help us anymore, but you saved our lives. Back on the Starwind, Ryan and his crew talked about what they had learned. The galaxy was in trouble, without human help, but the aliens were too proud to admit it. 17 different species have sent secret messages asking for help, Danny reported. They cannot ask officially, because the Council forbids it. Ryan looked out at the stars again. More distress calls would come. More people would need help. And humans would have to decide whether to follow their government's orders or follow their hearts. 2 years had passed since humans left the Galactic Council. Helen Torres stood in the briefing room on the human intelligence ship called Silent Observer. She was a commander who specialized in gathering secret information about what was happening. In alien space, Helen was a tough woman with short black hair and sharp eyes. She had spent many years working with aliens and understood their cultures well. Now her job was to watch them from far away and report what she saw. With her were 3 other intelligence officers. Greg Martinez was an expert at military tactics and combat. He could look at alien ship movements and understand what they meant. Carol White handled all the communication equipment and could listen to alien radio signals from very far away. The third member was Steve Johnson, who was good at analyzing data and finding patterns. Their ship was built for spying. It had special equipment that could detect signals from many light years away. It could also hide from alien sensors, so they would never know humans were watching them. Helen looked at the reports spread across the table. The news from the galaxy was getting worse every day. What started as small problems had grown into major disasters. Show me the Aquarian situation first, Helen said to Carol. Carol turned on a large screen that showed the Aquarian Empire. Before humans left, the Aquarians lived on beautiful water worlds with perfect climates. Now many of their planets were shown in red, meaning they were in serious trouble. Their climate control systems are failing, Carol explained. Humans designed and maintained those systems for over 50 years. Without human atmospheric engineers, the Aquarians cannot keep their air and water clean. Steve looked up from his datapad. 15 Aquarian worlds have been evacuated in the past 6 months. That is over 2 billion people who had to leave their homes. Greg pointed to another part of the display. Look at this. The Aquarian military is breaking apart. Different groups are fighting each other over who gets the remaining good planets. Helen felt sad, but not surprised. The Aquarians had been some of the loudest voices demanding that humans leave the council. Now they were paying the price for their pride. What about the Hiverch? Helen asked. The screen changed to show the insect-like Hiverch Empire. These creatures lived in huge colonies, ruled by queen insects. They were normally very organized and peaceful. Carol's voice was grim. It is much worse than we thought. The Void Plague has mutated. The new version only affects the Hiverch queens. When a queen dies, her entire colony dies with her. Steve? Read from his reports. We estimate that 60% of all Hiverch colonies are already dead. The rest are dying fast. Helen stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see stars that had once been part of a thriving galactic community. Now many of those stars had dead or dying worlds around them. The Hiverch tried to make their own version of human medicine, Greg said, but they did not understand how it worked. Their attempts to copy our plague cure actually made the disease stronger. Carol pressed some buttons, and the screen showed a new image. It was a map of all the void gates in the galaxy. These ancient structures allowed ships to travel faster than light by creating tunnels through space. "This is the worst news of all," Carol said quietly. "The void gates are breaking down." Helen turned around quickly. "What do you mean, breaking down?" Steve stood up and pointed at the screen. "Human quantum physicists have been maintaining the mathematical equations that keep the gates stable. We did it for so long that the aliens forgot how important it was." The screen showed several gates with red warning symbols. "These gates have already collapsed," Carol said. "When a gate collapses, it creates a tear in space itself. Ships traveling through them are destroyed instantly." Greg looked at his military reports. Over 300 ships have been lost in the past month alone. The aliens are afraid to use the gates now, but without them, travel between star systems takes months instead of days. Helen realized the full scope of the disaster. So they cannot trade with each other. They cannot send help to planets in trouble, and they cannot coordinate their governments. "Exactly," Steve said. "The galactic civilization is falling apart piece by piece." The screen changed again to show communication intercepts from the Galactic Council. Helen and her team listened to recordings of alien leaders arguing with each other. The voice of Kethfar, the Zephyrian Prime Minister, sounded desperate. "We must find a solution to the gate problem. Our entire empire depends on fast travel." Another voice, belonging to a crystal being, replied with anger. "You said removing the humans would solve our problems. Instead, everything is getting worse." A third voice, from an underwater species, added to the argument. "My people are dying from diseases that human doctors used to cure easily. We need to swallow our pride and ask for their help." Kethfar's voice became loud and angry. "We cannot ask the humans for help. It would prove we were wrong to kick them out. The Council's reputation would be destroyed." Helen turned off the recording. So they would rather let billions of people die than admit they made a mistake. Carol pulled up another report. "It gets worse. Some species are starting to blame each other for the crisis. The Zephyrians say the crystal beings forced them to vote against humans. The crystal beings say the Aquarians made the decision." Greg looked at his tactical analysis. "There have been 3 small wars already. The Outer Rim species are fighting over the remaining stable trade routes. Without human peacekeepers, no one can stop the fighting." Steve showed them his population data. "We estimate that 50 billion people have died in the past 2 years. Most from disease, some from starvation, others from wars and accidents." Helen sat down heavily in her chair. The numbers were staggering. An entire galactic civilization was collapsing, and it was all because they had been too proud to accept human help. "What about the emergency protocols?" she asked. "Do the aliens have any way to contact us officially?" Carol shook her head. "The Council has banned all communication with humans. Any alien caught talking to us faces severe punishment." "But some are trying anyway," Greg added. "We have intercepted dozens of secret messages. Alien scientists begging for medical help, military leaders asking for tactical advice, engineers requesting technical support." Helen made her decision. "Prepare a full report for Earth Command. Include everything we have learned. The human government needs to know how bad things have gotten." As her team worked on the report, Helen looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, billions of people were suffering and dying. A galaxy that had once been united and peaceful was tearing itself apart. The worst part was knowing that humans could stop all of this suffering with just a few words. But first, the aliens would have to ask for help, and their pride might kill them all before they found the courage to admit they were wrong. The emergency alert woke Rick Johnson from his sleep. He rolled out of bed and ran to the bridge of his ship called Defiant. As the captain of humanity's most advanced vessel, Rick was used to urgent calls, but this one felt different. Linda Parker, his chief engineer, was already at her station. She was a brilliant woman who understood quantum physics better than almost anyone. Her face was pale with worry. "Captain, you need to see this," she said, pointing at the main screen. The display showed a massive tear in space near the center of the galaxy. It was growing bigger every minute, swallowing stars and planets as it expanded. Rick had never seen anything so terrifying. Tony Garcia, the ship's alien relations expert, ran onto the bridge. He was breathing hard and looked scared. "Sir, we are getting emergency signals from everywhere. The central void gate has completely collapsed. The space-time rift is expanding out of control." Rick stared at the screen. The rift was like a huge wound in reality itself. Everything that touched it simply disappeared forever. "How fast is it growing?" Linda checked her instruments. "At current speed, it will reach the outer colonies in 6 months. If it keeps accelerating, it could consume the entire galaxy within 2 years." The communication system suddenly filled with dozens of voices speaking different alien languages. Tony worked quickly to translate them. "These are distress calls from across the galaxy. Millions of ships are trapped in collapsing hyperspace. Tunnels. Entire star systems are being cut off from the rest of the galaxy." Rick felt the weight of the crisis. This was not just about politics or trade anymore. This was about the survival of all life in the galaxy. "Can we stop it?" Linda looked at her calculations. "Maybe. The rift is caused by the mathematical equations. That controls space-time becoming unstable. If we can create the right quantum harmonics, we might be able to repair the damage." "What do we need?" Rick asked. "Every quantum physicist and engineer we have," Linda replied. "And we need to get very close to the rift itself. Close enough that we might not survive." Before Rick could respond, a new signal came through the communication system. This one was different from the others. It was broadcast on all frequencies. At maximum power dot, the voice belonged to Kethver, the Zephyrian Prime Minister, who had led the vote to kick humans out of the Galactic Council. But now his voice was broken and desperate. "This message is for the human government and any human. Ships that can hear us. We were wrong. We were terribly, horribly wrong. We let our fear and pride blind us to what you really are. You were never the problem. You were the solution." Rick and his crew listened in silence as the alien leader continued. "We thought we were protecting our independence by forcing you to leave. Instead, we destroyed everything we claimed to protect. Billions of our people are dead because we were too proud to accept your help. Our civilization is ending because we could not see past our own prejudices." A voice cracked with emotion. "Please, if there is any mercy left in human hearts, help. U.S. Not for our sake, but for the innocent people who will die if this rift continues to grow. We know we do not deserve your help. We know we have no right to ask, but we are asking anyway." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge incomplete. Silence. Rick looked around at his crew. They all knew what this meant. The aliens were finally admitting their mistake. But it might be too late that the ship's communication system chimed with an incoming message from Earth. President Nathan Cross appeared on the screen. He looked tired and sad, but his voice was firm. "All human ships and personnel, this is your president speaking. We have received the Galactic Council's plea for help. We are faced with a choice that will define who we are as a species." Rick and billions of other humans listened as their leader continued. We could ignore their request. We could let them face the consequences of their actions. Many people would say they deserve whatever happens to them. But that is not who we are. The president paused, then spoke with conviction. We are not doing this for the aliens who wronged us. We are doing this because saving lives is always the right thing to do. We are doing this because mercy is stronger than revenge. We are doing this because it is what makes us human. Within hours, Every available human ship was mobilized. Scientists who had been working on peaceful projects dropped everything to help solve the rift crisis. Engineers who had been building new colonies redirected their efforts to creating the equipment needed to repair space-time itself. Dr. Alan Rodriguez led a team of quantum physicists working around the clock. They had to create something that had never been built before, a device that could stabilize the fundamental structure of reality. Rick's ship, Defiant, was chosen to carry the stabilization device into the rift. It was the most dangerous mission ever attempted. The chances of survival were very small dot as they approached the expanding tier in space. Rick could see the destruction it had already caused. Entire solar systems had been erased from existence. The rift was like a hungry monster eating everything in its path. "Device is ready for deployment," Linda reported. "But we have to get within 1,000 kilometers of the rift's edge. At that distance, our ship will be torn apart by gravitational forces." Rick made the decision without hesitation. "Do it. Deploy the device." The Defiant shook violently as they approached the rift. Warning alarms filled the bridge. The ship's hull began to crack under the impossible stresses of distorted space-time. Linda activated the stabilization device. Quantum energy erupted from their ship and spread toward the rift. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then slowly, incredibly, the tier in space began to shrink. The device worked. The rift collapsed in on itself and disappeared. Space-time was repaired. The galaxy was saved. Rick's ship barely escaped destruction, but they made it home alive. The crisis was over. In the months that followed, the old Galactic Council was dissolved. A new federation was created based on equality and mutual respect. The aliens offered to make humans the leaders of this new government. President Cross declined the offer. "We do not want to rule anyone," he said during the historic peace negotiations. "We want to be partners. Real partners this time." Ambassador Karen Hayes, speaking for humanity, added, "We hope you have learned that diversity makes us stronger. Different species have different strengths. When we work together, we can solve any problem." The new Galactic Federation was built on cooperation instead of fear. Humans took their place as equals among the stars, respected not for their power, but for their character. Years later, children across the galaxy would learn about the Great Collapse and how humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or weapons, but their willingness to do what was right, even for those who had wronged them. The universe had collapsed when humans left the Council, but from its ashes rose something far better, a galaxy united by hope instead of divided by fear.